Kids worldwide have been playing video games for entertainment for decades now. It has become a regular activity for kids to do when they're bored. Video games are desensitizing our kids, making them more violent and aggressive, messing with their sleep patterns, sometimes even resulting in skipping meals. Video games have been out for a while and have progressed over time, but it wasn't until they became handheld, accessible to anyone anywhere, on top of being violent, that they become an issue for our children. With games like Call of Duty, Black Ops, and Fortnite, where the object of the game is kill or be killed. No wonder our kids are affected after playing for hours on end. And 76% of all US households, at least one person plays video games. Video games have our kids, and it's up to us to get them back. Video games aren't just a game anymore if they're proven to affect our kids physically, mentally, and emotionally. First, I'm talking about addictiveness. Then I will discuss desensitization, and finally I will look at the violence. First, let's get into addictiveness. 8.5% of ages 8 to 18 are addicted to video games, out of 2 billion that play. This is due to many games now having social aspect to it. That makes you have to connect with someone online and you play together to win. And this becomes a way for them to associate the game with something that we're already built in our nature. So now they have the game, they do not have to go outside and socialize. They can skip the park and log in online. In the article, it states just the social aspect of it becomes the reason to play the video game. They also make players feel more productive. If you're constantly told, good job, or leveling up, um, so now you have a false sense of worth, and based on the feeling of productivity alone, can be addicting. So adding the social aspect increases the addictiveness, and now you're hooked. After examining addictiveness, we'll take a look at desensitization. Video games zoom into our natural desires for survival. David Grossman, the national kill specialist and psychology professor, explains why we're drawn to violence. Survival in nature has always depended on a human brain adapting quickly to changes in the environment. And violence is the ultimate survival data. If there is violence in their environment, like a fight, children are driven to witness it so they can adapt to it as quickly as possible. Video game designers zoom in on this, making violence and death a regular thing and no big deal. When you enter a realm of no big deal, you start to blur the lines between real and fake. We don't need our kids blurring the lines at all. But the reality of it is, violent video games will do this for your child, and it's inevitable. Now that we understand desensitization, we can discuss the violence and aggression that come with violent video games. It is said without proper training and a balanced life, video games will have the same effect it has on our nation's soldiers who are trained to kill for our country. Our kids don't need to play violent video games in the first place. They already deal with bullying, social media, and peer pressure, which all lead to depression. In the same article, it states an FBI consultant who studied 19 juvenile school killers found out that one thing that the killers had in common was a complete immersion in violent video games. These kids clearly blurred the lines, and it cost people their lives. So the question of video games is definitely a serious one. Kids don't need to play video games that aren't made for them in the first place. There are better alternatives for them, like playing ball or riding a bike. So we talked about addictiveness. Then we talked about desensitization. And finally we got to the violence that comes with it. All in all, if the only result is violence and aggression, our kids don't need to be playing violent video games, and our kids should be shielded from this activity altogether. We need to ground our kids back into the things of nature and keep their senses of reality in check to make for a more well rounded life.